This is good animation.
本当にカマキリみたいなやつだ
And this is good choreography. The two get mixed together as one because oftentimes either one can overshadow the other, making it feel like one entity. But there are key distinctions that make these two so obviously different, you're gonna realize you've been watching these all wrong. Well, maybe not all wrong, because this is exactly what some animators want you to think. With extreme budgets and long hours for animation, you can only imagine the stress and difficulty it takes to produce a masterclass fight like this. But is this fight mostly good animation, good choreography, or both? Well, just because it looks smooth doesn't mean the animation is good. And just because the animation is good doesn't mean the choreography is either. You have to ask yourself, what's actually happening on screen? Are we just watching some squiggly lines that look vibrant? Or are we watching two individuals trade punches in an impactful manner? To differentiate between the two, let's first define them. So what is animation? Well, animation is the art of creating the illusion of movement by displaying a sequence of static images or frames rapidly one after another. It's not just about making something move, it's about how it moves. Is it smooth? Is it visually appealing? Does it feel like it meshes well in the world with everything else? Versus choreography, it refers to the careful planning and arrangement of movements, particularly in fight scenes, to create visually engaging and dynamic sequences. So in simple terms, choreography is the design of movement with purpose. It's not just about two characters clashing, but more about tactics, emotion, and the story behind it. It answers the question, why are they moving this way? What are they trying to achieve? And how does each action change the outcome? Think of animation as a style and choreography as a substance. One without the other is just another element, but when used in tandem, can create visual art. So now that we know the differences, let's put them under the microscope. This scene broke the internet when it aired, and visually, it's insane. The flames, the threads, this slow-mo leap while the music swells is basically peak anime cinema. But let's pause and ask, what are we actually looking at? The animation is top tier, the camera is dynamic, the effects are dazzling, and the transitions are seamless. But strip away the flashiness and the polished design and really understand what Tanjiro is doing. He's not just slicing wildly, he's adapting, timing his breathing, syncing his movements with Nezuko and Tengen to pull off combos they've never done before. Choreography is telling a story about desperation, teamwork, and most importantly, survival. The animation makes you feel it, but the choreography makes you understand it. And if this scene was all flash and no meaning, just Tanjiro doing flips for no reason and swinging his sword senselessly, it wouldn't have hit the same. But because the motion matters, and every move pushes the fight forward, it executes emotionally and technically. With animation recently, there's been an influx of studios who produce at a high quality to keep up with the demand and compete with the top titles in the space. It used to be that only the best shows had the highest production, but now even comedy isekai got top tier animation. And for many popular shows, you tend to see the more generic copy and paste style that fits your typical anime. Until you're met with something like Demon Slayer, Dandadan, or even Blue Lock. Each of these displays a different style of animation that's unique to only their respective anime. And I know Blue Lock may be a bit of a head scratcher since the last season had extremely questionable slideshows, but they still cook when they need to. Towards the end of the season, they made up for the issues going on with the production team, but not just with the animation, the choreography as well. Many people categorize this as just really good animation, but these scenes are more than just visual dopamine hits. They make you feel something in a way that animation can't do alone. The final two episodes had textbook definitions of choreography. Rin losing his mind and going at it with his brother, their movements mimicked that of their past selves, as well as who they were trying to become. Every time Rin moved, it wasn't just to win, it was to rewrite the old narrative of just being the little brother. He wasn't chasing the goal, he was chasing dominance. And the way his body moved with such sharpness, precision, and anger reflected that. And then you have Isugi, who starts mirroring these movements as well. Not because he wants to follow Rin, but because he wants to consume him. And this is exactly the kind of layered choreography people miss when they're just focused on the flashy animation. The animation sells the flash with Izuki and his adaptive final goal, but the choreography shows the calculations of every step, every decoy, and every doubt in his mind leading him to this exact moment. So can you imagine if you decided to stop watching because of the style of this season? You would have missed out on the best adaptation of a sport in the last 5 years. And I mean, animation styles can be the difference maker for whether or not someone sticks around for the show. I mean, you can have the best story, set of characters, and power system, but if it's not visually appealing, nobody cares. Titles like T-Bait and Tower of God are excellent examples. Each of these manhwa have some of the best stories, even better than its more popular counterparts like Solo Leveling, but the animation is just piss poor. But Solo Leveling has executed the animation choreography combo flawlessly from its initial release. The story does not matter because it feeds that one thing the vast majority can appreciate: eye candy. I mean, just look at these visuals. It's near impossible to think that something like this would not be popular, regardless of how much better the writing is. With that, it raises the question, Can an anime have horrible animation but still have great choreography? Well, yes. In fact, the biggest titles are guilty of this exact formula. Naruto, One Punch Man, Berserk, and even Dragon Ball Super. With Naruto, there are certain fights that have amazing sequences, like his fight versus Pain. They use creative movements, impact frames to capture the severity of the situation, but if you truly nitpick at this fight, the animation was pretty bad. Aside from the basic pausing and seeing horrible frames, the entire fight was camouflaged by the actual fighting itself. Just give it a second and it'll make sense. When giving the animators more room creatively, they use less polish and add more meaningful movement that will have a higher impact on what's actually happening on screen. Because the truth is, clean lines are optional, but the clarity of the motion is not. Take One Punch Man Season 2 for instance. The budget took a nosedive, the frames got chunky, and people yelled animation downgrade. But if you watch Garo's alley fight, it tells a different story. The camera barely moves, the lighting's low, yet every dodge, sweep, and counter tells you exactly who's controlling the tempo. That's choreography carrying bad animation. The same deal with Dragon Ball Super's early episodes. Remember when Goku fought Beerus in space? The characters were wobbly, but the timing of each ki blast volley still sells Beerus testing Goku, forcing him to stretch further and further. Going from the movie to this was brutal, but understandable from a budget standpoint. There really is no point in spending money on something twice when you can get the same message across. And then there's 2016 Berserk. CGI nightmares aside, look at Guts' footwork in these scenes. The sword arcs are deliberately huge so you can feel the weight. The camera cuts wide so you can read the spacing. Ugly frames, but the choreography respects the characters fighting. So the scene works well if you squint past the PlayStation 2 textures. So when dissecting the differences with animation and choreography, there are a few key takeaways. Read the intent behind it and not just the pixels. If you can follow and see the goal behind every movement, then chances are choreography is winning. And if it's much simpler but beautiful with unimpactful movement, then animation is winning. So the next time you're watching a fight scene and your thought is, this looks insane, pause. Ask yourself, is it just pretty or is it saying something? Because when animation and choreography actually work well and style meets the substance, you get the scenes that do more than just look good. You get moments that actually push the story and the characters forward. And that's the difference between a good and a great one. And once you start seeing it like this, you'll realize it's not just about what moves on screen, it's about why it moved. Because in anime, motion is connected to emotion, and the best scenes don't just show you the fight, they make you feel